Hi, everyone. I'd like to first of all start off with welcoming our viewers to the second interview of the CLA Africa Hub Women Lawyers Initiative series, which aims to showcase women lawyers, leading women lawyers throughout the Hub's 19 African jurisdictions. My name is Darshani Parsuramen. I'm from Mauritius, and I've been a member of CLA for over 2 years now, and a member of the Africa Hub Committee. Through this initiative, the Africa Hub aims to create a platform to highlight the expertise of women lawyers and provide insight into their successful careers and tips on how to best tackle challenges. My first interview, as you saw previously, was with Kondwa Sakala Chibia from Zambia, and I have the honor today to interview Narghis Bundhun from my own home country, Mauritius. So hello, Narghis. How are you doing today?
Hello, Darshani. I'm good. And you?
Doing very well, thank you. It's a little bit hot in Mauritius, but you know, it's okay. We can't complain. Narghis, we just start with, I know it's a bit difficult, but we'd like to just start with a brief introduction. Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your academic and professional background?
Okay. I start after secondary school in Mauritius. I read law. I started my law degree in Brussels, Belgium, which I completed in France. So that was a long time ago from the Université de la Réunion. Thereafter, I passed my bar professional exams in Mauritius, and I pupilled in France, England, and Mauritius, and I was called to the Mauritian bar in 1989. But I must say that as far as I'm concerned, education is a never-ending process. So over the past 31 years that I have been at the bar, I have, of course, attended a number of conferences where as attendee or as a speaker. But in the process, I have also qualified as an international commercial arbitrator with the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, of which I'm a fellow. I'm also an accredited mediator with the Institute and with the Mauritius Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And 3 years ago, I completed a diplôme universitaire en droit civil mauricien from the Université de la Réunion, because I feel that being a barrister is just an ongoing process. I mean, you never stop learning. There's always new things to learn and new things to take from other jurisdictions to ours, because that's the way we move on and progress, improve, innovate, and create. That's it.
So Narghis, what is your current area of legal expertise?
I don't quite like the word expertise, but let's say that my main area of practice currently is family law. But I do a bit of criminal, commercial, but 80% of my practice is family law. And I haste to add, it is not because I'm a woman, because people tend to think, oh, family law, this is this little bit of thing that women does because there's not much challenge and not much law into it. And of course, I beg to disagree on that. This is not at all correct. In fact, I did not choose family law, but I would rather say that family law chose me. When I was like because of course, when I set up, I want to saw myself being the leading criminal lawyer. But then like 5-6 years into my practice, I was asked whether I would like to lecture family law to prospective barristers, attorneys, and notaries at the Council of Legal Education Mauritius. And I accepted the challenge. And from there, I became more and more interested in the subject. And I must say I've been teaching since then. So teaching gives you a different sort of approach to your practice, because when you practice, you are focused on the facts of a case. Whereas when you're teaching, you really need to have an overview of the subject and crisscrossing from one article of the civil code to the other, etc. So, and that of course enhances my practice as a family lawyer.
Great. Well, so okay, you're learning, you're teaching in your current area, you're practicing, and in your current area, do you actually have, do you currently have a leadership or management role within your company or law firm? Do you have a law firm?
I don't have a firm, but I have a set of chambers that of which I head. So we are 7 of us. It's a boutique chambers. It's not a huge chambers. It's a boutique chambers. We are 7 of us all together. But also until like a few weeks back, I chaired the bar, the Mauritius bar, for 2 consecutive years. So 2019, 2020, I chaired the Mauritian bar. So this is the dual role that I've been having over the past years.
And Narghis, would you say that so you've obviously had to manage a lot of people. Would you say you have a particular management style?
Yes, I think some would say I bully, but I think it's more I lead by example. I think that is my personal view of leading, because you cannot be telling people, I mean, chairing the bar meant basically disciplining members of the profession. So, or even in my chambers, for my juniors in my set, I need to set the example. And that example means that you have like a conduct, you're at all times compliant with the code of conduct, that you go to court, your cases are prepared, you don't go to court without having prepared your case, fully researched, fully mastering your brief, conferencing with your client, and when you stand up in court, you are at it. And so it's basically, to me, is you really have to set the example. Otherwise, people would not believe in you or would not trust you, would they?
All right. And do you have a motto or a saying that you like to refer to?
Grit will take you anywhere.
All right.
You just have to have that grit, and especially for women, because women, I think we all multitask. We are professionals in our own right. Some of us head chambers, some of us lead our profession, but also we are primarily household managers and we carry children. So we have to have an eye, and it has to be equal, the eye that you have on your home and on your household, and the eye that you have on your profession has to be the same. So you really need that grit to make it on both fronts.
Would you say you have a mentor or someone who you particularly looked up to or aspired to be like?
Um, of course, I did pupil to be able to qualify as a barrister. So my pupil master was my real mentor. And at the time when I joined the profession, there were not very many women pupil masters. In fact, there were not very many women in independent practice when I joined. I think there were like senior to me, there would have been then 4 of them, but none of them were senior enough to be pupil masters. So pupil masters basically meant going to a male pupil master. So my pupil master was Gyori, and he was just such a feminist. He was very open-minded about women issues and was on all fronts. But also he had that legal acumen. I mean, he was just perfect. He just could look at a file and just pick one argument and go for that one. But also at the time, there was this French lawyer, I don't know whether you would recall, she passed away, I think last year, or maybe early this year, Giselle Halimi. She advocated for rape to go to the higher court in France. I mean, she was a real feminist as well. But over time, also, I learned to respect Mrs. Zifa from the Mauritius bar. She did a lot to improve and from the legal perspective, to change the law to protect women better, for women to have more rights, etc. So if I were to name 3 persons, that would be them, basically.
Right. And how would you say that they had an influence on your career or the way that you decided to practice or bring forward your experience?
As far as my pupil master goes, sorry, he used to say, il n'y a pas de petites affaires ni de grandes affaires. There were no small cases, no big cases. there are only good cases. So whatever case come to you, you should look at it as being a big case, because from something might sound innocuous, but in fact, when you dig deeper, you can make a great case and make a great case law out of it. So that's what I learned from him. And what I learned from Shirin is that as women, we need to stand up for ourselves because nobody else will. And um, we need to have this solidarity, women's solidarity. We should not be shooting ourselves or others in the foot. So these are the two things that I learned.
All right. What would you say is your biggest achievement so far? I know you're very busy, so.
So far, well, chairing the bar on no less than 3 occasions, I think, is a feat. The first time I chaired was in 2000. And I had, in Mauritius, to chair the bar, you must have like 10 years standing. And in 2000, I had barely passed that mark of 10 years. And there were like 2 very senior members of the bar who were going for it. And one of them stepped down. And I thought, we will not allow this to happen. We will allow this one to win just, unopposed. So like a week before, I decided to stand up to him. And I won. So I think that was, and that was the first time ever a woman headed the bar in Mauritius. And of course I did it, as I said earlier on, for the past 2 years again, but also becoming the first woman senior counsel. I mean, we were 2 who were appointed in 2016, and we were the first 2. I think that's a major achievement. And also it is like not only being a trailblazer, but also setting example for the young women, because as is the worldwide trend, this is in Mauritius as well. This is a profession where we're having more and more women joining in. I mean, like when I joined 31 years ago, there were no women judges. Now, more than 50% of the judges are Mauritian. And as the lower judiciary goes, there are more and more women in the lower judiciary, but it should not be in numbers only. It should be also in quality. And for the independent bar, the yardstick is becoming a senior counsel. And so far there are 2 of us, so hopefully there are going to be more of us. And also maybe the other achievement, so far I'm the only Mauritian being a fellow of the International Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers. So and there are things that I do outside of my profession as well, which is I'm a member of the Electoral Supervisory Commission and the Electoral Boundaries Commission, who are like 2 constitutional posts. And I was 16 years ago, 2001, or more than 16 years ago, 20 years ago, 2001, I was the 2nd woman to be part of those 2 bodies. So I think in terms of achievements, that would be about it.
So you've changed a lot of the Mauritian scenery, not only in the legal world, and the Electoral Commission, and internationally, you've also achieved quite a lot. So what did you say? What would you say?
We try.
Sorry?
We try.
So what would you say what would you say were the challenges you had to face as a woman throughout your career?
Well, as I said, when I joined, it was a male-dominated profession. So there was always this very derogatory attitude towards women, and we were not taken seriously, at least at the independent bar. This was the feeling that prevailed. And so I really had to rise up, get myself elected, and make my mark as a full-fledged barrister. I think that was a challenge. And at the same time, I got married in the process, had my 3 children, and juggling with all this was also a major challenge.
How would you say, well, you've obviously, actions speak louder than words. So what you've already achieved speaks for itself. But how would you say you were able to overcome these challenges?
Uh, I am a very strong-willed person. This is one, one thing. But also, I think the hard work uh, puts in, I mean, like being, of course, we all know that for a woman to achieve the same standard of a man, she has to work double that. And this is what I had to do. So you had to be bold as well. I mean, when men were like making like, as I said earlier on, derogatory remarks or slimy remarks, just stand up to them. Take the challenge of calling their bluff, I think. I think that's what enabled me to get this far.
So would that be your recommendation to fellow women lawyers out there? Would that be your piece of advice?
Hello?
Hello?
I didn't get, yeah,
I'd say, would
I
that
didn't
be
get,
your recommendation or piece of advice for fellow women lawyers? Would it be to call the bluff?
absolutely. Call the bluff, be bold,
Yeah.
go for it.
Great, thank
This
you.
is what I would say.
And in your particular area of expertise, so you spoke about family law. Is there anything you think, any piece of advice on how to succeed?
Well, I think to succeed, you should know what is going on in other jurisdictions, what is happening in your other jurisdictions, and see how you can bring that to your own jurisdiction without necessarily laws being changed. I mean, adopt new practices, new theories, and educate your own jurisdiction to incorporate them in your practice. And also, and if you want to succeed in family law, you must have a lot of empathy. You need to be a psychologist. You need to have a box of tissues already there. And you really have to, basically you need to embrace your client and be available and have a lot of empathy.
All right. So your piece of advice on that part would be to share information and share knowledge, and that's precisely what we do as well at the Commonwealth Lawyers Association. So is to link together countries that have similar legislation and similar legal systems, and that's a perfect way. Exactly. Thank you very much for noting that point. So Narghis, thank you very much for your time. It was really nice to speak to you. You've definitely given us some insight on your personal path, but also given some great piece of advice to fellow women lawyers who are trying to succeed. And I think you're setting a great example. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Darshani. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.